Welcome dear students to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. K.S. Nagaraja of Deccan College, Pune, teaching the course of Historical Linguistics. In today's module, we look at the remaining languages of South Asia, particularly Andamanese and other two languages which are known as isolates. So far, the four language families which we have studied will have given a fair idea of the complex situation available in South Asia. However, that is not all. So, in this particular module, we look at the remaining languages and their position in opposition to the rest of the languages. So, we take up Andamanese, Burushaski and Nihile in that order in this particular class. Besides the above discussed four language families in India, we have also another language or language isolate in the form of Andamanese group of languages spoken in the Andaman group of islands of India. As these languages form probably another family, as not much is known about them yet, it may be counted as the fifth language family. Since it is restricted to only one or some of these islands, it may be called a family isolate. Other than these families, two languages of this subcontinent have defied any family association so far, though we expect them to belong to one or the other language family of India or elsewhere. They are Nihili or Nahali, spoken by around 3,000 speakers living in a couple of villages of northern Buldana district of Maharashtra state, and Burushaski, spoken in the Gilgit province of occupied Kashmir. In this lesson, these will be studied. The Andamanese languages are the indigenous languages of the Andaman Islands in the Bay of Bengal, spoken by the Andamanese Negritos. There are two clear families of Andamanese languages, one the Great Andamanese and the other Wangan. Of course, as well as there is a third one, Sentinelese, which is still unknown and therefore at present unclassifiable. Andamanese is a generic term used for two distinct groups of the Negrito race that once flourished in the entire Southeast Asia region, according to Manoharan. Andamanese is also a name of one of the languages of this family. There is a little Andamanese group speaking Wange, Jarawa and Sentinelese, and the Great Andamanese group speaking 10 different languages by an equal number of tribes. When we look at Andamanese first, the very name Andaman tells us that it is an island in the southern part of our country. Of course, very little is known about the Andamanese languages as such. Not more than a few hundred speakers who speak these languages are living today. The Andamanese languages probably are the oldest of the Indian language families and have been spoken by the Negritos in the area for the last 3,000 years. Migration of this group to any other region has not been heard of. The indigenous Andamanese people have lived on the islands for thousands of years, so we really do not know how they moved there into that area or from where they moved, so it is a mystery even today. However, the languages today are very few in number. Even some 100 years before, there were more languages and more people, but now it has come to a very handful of them. Although the existence of the islands and their inhabitants was long known to maritime powers and traders of the South and Southeast Asia region, contact with these people was highly restricted and often hostile. As a result, almost nothing is recorded of them or of their languages until the mid-18th century. From the 1860s onwards, the setting up of a permanent British penal colony and the subsequent arrival of immigrant settlers and indentured laborers, mainly from the Indian subcontinent, brought the first sustained impacts upon these societies, particularly among the great Andamanese groups. By the beginning of the 20th century, most of these populations were greatly reduced in numbers, and the various linguistic and tribal divisions among the great Andamanese effectively ceased to exist, despite a census of the time still classifying the groups as separate. Their linguistic diversity also suffered as the surviving populations intermingled with one another, and some also intermarried with Burmese like Karen and Indian settlers. By the latter part of the 20th century, the majority of great Andamanese languages had become extinct. At the start of the 21st century, only about 50 or so individuals of great Andamanese descent remained, resettled to a single small island, Strait Island. About half of these speak what may be considered a modified version or Creole of Great Andamanese, based mainly on Akajeru. This modified version has been called present Great Andamanese by some scholars, but also may be referred to simply as Jero or Great Andamanese. Hindi increasingly serves as their primary language and is the only language for around half of them. The Wangan languages survive mainly because of the greater isolation of the peoples who speak them. This isolation has been reinforced by an outright hostility towards outsiders and extreme reluctance to engage in contact with them by South Andamanese tribes, particularly the Sentinelese and the Jarawa. The Sentinelese have been so resistant that their language remains entirely unknown to outsiders even today. The languages and their classification. The Andaman languages fall into two clear families: Great Andamanese, spoken by the Great Andamanese people, and Wangan, two languages spoken by 300 people, mostly monolingual, belong to the Wangan group. In addition, there is the unattested language Sentinelese. At least 50 speakers speak this one, and perhaps up towards 250 of the people may be there, but definitely the definite figure is not available. These have frequently been assumed to be related. However, the similarities between Great Andamanese and Wangan are so far mainly of a typological, morphological nature, with little demonstrated common vocabulary. As a result, even long-range researchers such as Joseph Greenberg have expressed doubt as to the validity of Andamanese as a family. Grammar. The Andamanese languages are agglutinative languages with an extensive prefix and suffix system. They have a distinctive noun class system based largely on body parts, in which every noun and adjective may take a prefix according to which body part it is associated with. Thus, for instance, the aka at the beginning of names of the Great Andamanese language is a prefix for objects related to the tongue. So, various language names are like Akabeya, Akajeru, Akakoro, etc. Terms for body parts are inalienably possessed, requiring a possessive adjective prefix to complete them. So one cannot say head alone, but only say my head or his head. The basic pronouns are almost identical throughout the great Andamanese languages. Akabeya will serve as a representative. For instance, we have the chart giving the list of the pronouns and the possessive pronouns. The Wangan pronouns are rather different. The list is given. But basically, there is not much is known about these languages. Therefore, the information on grammar, etc., are highly limited. So, however, there are some dictionaries on some of these languages. One can refer to them for more information. Now we move on to another language, Burushaski. Burushaski, also known as Buru or Buro, the language of the Burusha people, is a language isolate spoken in northern Gilgit-Baltistan of the present Pakistan. As of 2000, Burushaski was spoken by some 87,000 people in Hunza Nagar district, northern Gilgit district, and in the Yasin and Ishkoman valleys of northern Gizhar district. Their native region is located in northern Gilgit-Baltistan and borders with Pamir corridor to the north. Burushaski is also spoken by about 300 people in Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. Other names for the language are Bitum, Kajuna, Kunjut, etc. Today, Burushaski contains numerous loanwords from Urdu, including English and Persian words, and from the neighboring Dardic languages such as Shina and Khowar, etc. Classification: attempts have been made to establish links between Burushaski and several distant language families, although none has been accepted by the majority of the linguists. That's why Burushaski is considered to be an isolate. Language Burushaski is spoken by the people also normally of the same name, Burusho, they are often called. They live in some valleys like Hunza, Nagar and Yasin. In fact, some scholars consider these are the dialects of Burushaski. The varieties of Hunza, for instance, and Nagar differ slightly, but are clearly dialects of a single language. The Yasin variety, also known by the name Khowar, is much more divergent. Intelligibility between Hunza, Nagar and Yasin is difficult, and Yasin is sometimes considered a dialect language, a distinct language. Burushaski primarily has 5 vowels, the standard E, A, A, O, U. Various contractions result in long vowels. Stressed vowels are found. Long vowels also occur in loans and in a few onomatopoeic words. Berger, 1998, finds the following consonants to be phonemic. It appears that this language has a very rich consonantal system spread in 7 places of articulation, namely bilabial, dental, alveopalatal, retroflex, velar, uvular, and glottal. Among the various manners of articulation, it has an asymmetrical system of plosives, while contrasts between unaspirated and aspirated voiceless plosives are found, while only voiced unaspirated plosives are found. We move to grammar. Burushaski is a double marking language, and word order is generally subject, object, and verb. Nouns in Burushaski are divided into 4 genders: human masculine, human feminine, countable objects, and uncountable ones, similar to mass nouns. The assignment of a noun to a particular gender is largely predictable. Some words can belong both to the countable and to the uncountable class, producing differences in meaning. For example, when countable, balt means apple, but when uncountable, it means apple tree. Noun morphology consists of the noun stem, a possessive prefix mandatory for some nouns and thus an example of inherent possession, and number and case suffixes. Distinctions in number are singular, plural, indefinite, and grouped. Cases include absolutive, ergative or oblique, genitive, and several locatives. The latter indicate both location and direction and may be compounded. Noun classes. In Bruchesky, there are 4 noun classes similar to declensional classes in Indo-European languages, but unlike Indo-European, the nominal classes in Bruchesky are associated with 4 grammatical genders. Bruchesky verbs have 3 basic stems: past tense, present tense, and consecutive. The past stem is the citation form and is also used for imperatives and nominalization. The consecutive stem is similar to a past participle and is used for coordination. Agreement on the verb has both nominative and ergative features. Transitive verbs mark both the subject and the object of a clause, while intransitive verbs mark their sole argument as both a subject and an object. Altogether, a verb can take up to 4 prefixes and 6 suffixes. Pluralization. There are 2 numbers in Bruchesky, singular and plural. The singular is unmarked, while the plural is expressed by means of suffix which vary depending on the class of the noun. Declension. Bruchesky is an ergative language. It has 5 primary cases: absolutive, the subject of intransitive verbs and the object of transitive ones, which is unmarked; ergative, marked by a; oblique, marked by a, ma; dative, allative, marked by at and e; and ablative, marked by ma and mo. The case suffixes are appended to the plural suffix. Some examples are given here. Then we move on to pronouns and pronominal prefixes. Nouns indicating parts of the body and kinship terms are accompanied by an obligatory pronominal prefix. Thus, one cannot simply say mother or aram in Bruchesky, but only my aram, your mother, his father, etc. For example, the root me, mother, is never found in isolation. Instead, one finds imi, his mother, mumi, their mother, etc. The pronominal or personal prefixes agree with the person, number, and in the third person, the class of the noun. The personal pronouns, singular, plural, are listed. Personal pronouns in Bruchesky distinguish proximal and distal forms. Numerals. The Bruchesky number system is vigesimal, that is based on the number 20. So the lists are given here. Verbs. The verbal morphology of Bruchesky is extremely complicated and rich in forms. Many sound changes can take place, including assimilation, deletion, and accent shift, which are unique for almost every verb. Then there are many other features of Bruchesky which can be studied in the books, in the works which have been already referred to, and at the end of the module a fairly long list of references has been given which can be used to know more about this particular language. Then we move on to Nihali, or also called Nahali. It is spoken in only a few villages of Buldana district. The Buldana district itself is in Maharashtra. Just in some 6 villages, the Nahals live and speak a language which is very different from the rest. The phonemic inventory of Nihali, the tentative system contains the vowels, only 5 vowels are there. E, A, A, O, U. Then the consonants, based on the availability of minimal pair and subminimal pairs, A tentative list of 28 consonantal phonemes has been identified. Besides them, two sounds have been kept in bracket to indicate their marginality. So, stops pa, pa, ba, bha, in fact, voiceless, voiced, unaspirated, aspirated contrast in 5 places of articulation: bilabial, alveolar, retroflex, palatal, and velar have been established. In fact, palatal ones are normally affricates. Nasals, there are basically 3 nasals. The third nasal, the palatal nasal, is not very strongly present. Fricatives, there are only basically 2, sa and ha, but the palatal fricative, voiceless fricative, can be heard in some words. Trills, ra, and the flap ra, lateral, semi-vowel, wa and ya. As far as the distribution of phonemes is concerned, all the vowels can occur in all the 3 positions. The consonants, except the retroflex ones, can occur in the initial position. In the medial position, all the consonants occur. However, in the final position, only a few consonants can occur, and that has been listed below. Morphology is agglutinative in character and fairly simple compared to the other 2 languages discussed earlier. The roots of the language are primarily disyllabic with vowel ending. The common canonical structure of the roots is CVC, C, which may be optional, and V, and then C, optional. Morphological processes employed in this language are affixation, generally suffixation only in Nihili, but potentially also infixation among demonstratives, but very doubtful. Compounding and reduplication. Number 3-level number distinction is made into singular, dual, and plural. Here the singular is unmarked, dual and plural are marked. Gender, the gender distinction is between masculine and feminine in animate nouns. While masculine forms are usually unmarked, feminine forms are obtained by adding, that is suffixing, a form marking feminine, like Kol, for instance, which is feminine or woman. Guruji is he teacher, Guruji Kol, female teacher. The female marker can precede the noun instead of occurring after it. Dhobi Kol or Kol Dhobi, both are possible without any change of meaning. Similarly, Bia is village, Bia Ato is, or Ato Bia, that is man of the village. With animals also this is possible. Then to mark masculinity, a separate form is used: Jagto, male, Jagto Temdia, male tiger, or Kol Temdia, female tiger. Personal pronouns, the list is given, is fairly simple. The distinction is singular, dual, plural, first person, second person, third person, they have been provided. In possessive pronouns, except for first person, same person pronouns are used. In first person, yenge, my, and ingin, our, are used. Elsewhere, possessive is marked partially by na, un, na, or zero. Demonstrative pronouns, in Nihili, the demonstrative pronouns are quite marked and complex. Han, this, hotan, that, hin, here, hutin, there. In the above 2 sets, one can observe a potential infix of the form of VT, which might mark distance. Similar pattern can be observed in demonstrative adjective forms of the following type: he, this, hiti, that. Elsewhere, this type of process is not observed. In the remote demonstrative, a distinction is made between visible and invisible, hauta or ho, iti, that, non-visible or indefinite. Demonstrative adjectives have a somewhat contracted forms: he, this, he manso, this man, iti, that, iti manso, that man, iti pustak, that book, etc. Interrogative forms. The interrogative forms in Nahali are the following: nan, what, nani, who, nawai, why, nawosan, why, meran, when, mingai, where, mian, how much. The indefinite forms are obtained by suffixing an element ka or ka bi to the interrogative forms. Nani ka, whoever, someone, nani ka bi, something, whatever, something, etc. Case is marked by suffixes and or postpositions, but case is not highly distinctive. Many cases have undergone syncretization, so it's in a state of simplification. Nominative case is unmarked. The first noun phrase in a sentence usually will be in this case. If it is followed by another NP, it will be in accusative case. Here, if the object is animate, then it is marked by the case suffix. If the NP is inanimate, no case marker occurs with it. Numerals. An interesting feature of the language is that except for the first few numbers, all other numbers are from Indo-Aryan. The interesting numbers are for 3 and 4. 3 is Moto and 4 is Nalto. Similar forms are in Dravidian but not in either Indo-Aryan or Austric. The numbers for 1 and 2 are 1 is Bidi or Bada and 2 Ira or Ir. So that shows that extensive loss in the numeral system. Then we move to negative forms. Negation is marked by various forms, some preceding the verb root, some following it. The negative markers are Hoto, Bete, Hayom and Biji. The dative subject construction are found in this language on line with other languages of this area. Enki mitai khobo pasan. Enki is to me. NP dative is employed here. I like the sweets very much. The brief descriptions of these languages, Andamanese, Brusheski and Nihili, hopefully will have shown why they are not similar to other languages of the area, why they cannot be grouped with any other known languages. It is highly intriguing why they are what they are. Further work on these languages hopefully someday reveal to which family they belong. To summarize then, Nahali language is an isolate mainly because it has lost a lot of its native words, native structure. And on the other hand, it has borrowed extensively from Indo-Aryan and also from Munda languages. For instance, the number system, particularly the numerals, it has lost most of the numerals. What it has is just word for 1. And probably the number for 2, 3 and 4 are borrowed from other languages, and just that's all. For all other counting, etc., Hindi words are employed. Even in the sentence structure, it is similar to either Munda or Dravidian languages. So there's a lot of simplification in all aspects of the language, and it is doubtful how long it will continue to be an isolate. So it is worthwhile to study this language, at least to document the present state, and also to search whether the Nahals live in other areas of, for instance, contiguous areas of Madhya Pradesh, and document there also to see whether the language is same or there are any differences there, because many Nahals have given up their language, have totally switched over either to Korku or to an Indo-Aryan language. Therefore, it is of great significance, which talks about the earlier states of the country, for instance. So students are advised to study the language in greater detail. There are references available which can be utilized for this purpose. Thank you.